10 American V8s. One list. No opinions, no debates, no magazine rankings. What you are about to hear is the factory-certified, documented, warranty-supported record of the 10 most powerful street-legal American V8s Detroit ever put on public roads. 0 to 60 times, quarter-mile clocks, production numbers, and what every single one of them costs today. One engine did not make this list, and the story behind it is the most important one we tell. But first, let's settle what street legal actually means, because that one phrase eliminates more cars than you expect. Number 10, 2017, Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. General Motors brought the ZL1 nameplate back in 2012. The version that arrived in 2017 is a different machine entirely. 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. From a 6.2-liter supercharged LT4 V8 that General Motors placed at the top of its performance lineup and fitted into a muscle car designed from the chassis up to also run a road course without apology. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Quarter mile, 11.4 seconds at 127 miles per hour. The LT4 ran a Roots-type positive displacement supercharger, combined with direct injection, a pairing that produced broad, flat torque from idle, and a top-end pull that kept building past 6,000 revolutions per minute. General Motors calibrated the engine management separately for the 10-speed automatic and the 6-speed manual. In sport mode, the automatic delivered measurably faster quarter-mile times than the manual for most drivers. The stopwatch did not care what the purists thought. The ZL1 was also available with the 1LE track package, Multimatic DSSV spool valve dampers, a flat underbody, and a rear wing that generated real aerodynamic downforce at speed. With this package, the car ran the Nürburgring Nordschleife in 7 minutes and 29 seconds, placing it among the fastest American production cars ever to attempt that circuit. Full emissions compliance, factory warranty, registered and driven daily. Production count, approximately 3,000 units per year in the ZL1 configuration. Current collector value, $45,000 to $65,000 for low mileage, unmodified examples. 650 horsepower opens the list at number 10. Number 9, 2015 through 2019, Chevrolet Corvette Z06. The same engine, a different result. The 2015 through 2019 Corvette Z06 ran the identical LT4 6.2-liter supercharged V8 as the Camaro ZL1 at entry number 10. Same 650 horsepower, same 650 pound-feet of torque. And yet the Z6 ran to 60 in 2.95 seconds, more than half a second faster than the ZL1 it shared its engine with. The answer is physics. The Camaro ZL1 weighed approximately 3,800 pounds at the curb. The Corvette Z6 weighed approximately 3,520 pounds. That gap, 280 pounds, separated a fast car from a genuinely dangerous one. The Z6 also carried a wider body than any previous Corvette production model, stretching nearly 2 inches over each front fender and 3 inches over each rear quarter, to accommodate massive Michelin Pilot Sport Cup, 2 rubber, 285 wide at the front, 335 wide at the rear. That contact patch, combined with a stiffer magnetic ride control suspension setup available as an option, gave the Z6 handling that matched its straight-line speed in a way few American cars had ever managed. Quarter mile, 11.2 seconds at 127 miles per hour. For context, that is a faster elapsed time than the ZL1 produced with the same power output. Weight and aerodynamics finished the math. There was one documented weakness. The Z6's dry sump cooling system and transmission cooling struggled in sustained track sessions at high ambient temperatures. On a hot track day, without proper preparation, the car could experience power reduction from heat management. General Motors addressed this partially through the 0 to 7 package, which added additional cooling and carbon ceramic brakes. Owners who tracked the Z6 properly with correct tire warm-up procedures and session management reported no significant thermal issues. Production count, approximately 4,000 units per year across the model run. Current collector value, $60,000 to $90,000 for clean, documented examples. Number 9 is on the board. Same engine, faster car. Number 8, 2022 through 2024, Chevrolet Corvette Z06. In 2020, General Motors moved the Corvette's engine behind the driver for the first time in the car's 67-year history. In 2022, they installed something inside that mid-engine chassis that had never appeared in a factory American street car before: a flat-plane crankshaft V8. The 5.5-liter LT6 was a naturally aspirated engine, no supercharger, no turbocharger. It produced 670 horsepower at 8,500 revolutions per minute and 460 pound-feet of torque. The horsepower number placed it above both the C7 Z6 and the Camaro ZL1. The torque number placed it below both. That is what a flat-plane crankshaft does. It allows the engine to breathe more efficiently at high revolutions, producing more peak power while generating less low-end torque than a traditional cross-plane American V8. The sound the LT6 produced at full throttle was unlike any factory American V8 that had come before it. High-pitched, layered, with an exhaust note closer to a European racing engine than anything Detroit had previously sold on a window sticker. 0 to 60, 2.6 seconds. Quarter mile, 10.6 seconds at 131 miles per hour. That quarter mile number put the naturally aspirated C8 Z6 into the 10-second bracket, a threshold that had previously belonged only to purpose-built drag machines and heavily boosted street cars. The LT6 reached it with no forced induction whatsoever. Production count, approximately 5,000 units per year. Optional 0 to 7 package, added carbon ceramic brakes, Michelin Pilot Sport Cup, 2R tires, and additional aerodynamic components that generated over 300 pounds of downforce at 150 miles per hour. Current collector value, $90,000 to $130,000 for standard Z6 configurations. 670 horsepower, no boost, 10.6 seconds. Number 7, 2015 through 2018, Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. When Dodge announced the Hellcat in 2015, the automotive press did not believe the number. 707 horsepower from a production American muscle car sold through standard dealerships. Available in automatic or 6-speed manual, full factory warranty, full emissions compliance, the number was real. 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8. Used a 2.4-liter Roots-type supercharger, spinning at approximately 14,200 revolutions per minute at full throttle. It produced 14.5 pounds of boost. Dodge ran the engine on 91 octane pump gasoline and certified every number through standard EPA procedures. 0 to 60, 3.4 seconds. Quarter mile, 11.2 seconds at 125 miles per hour. The Challenger weighed 4,300 pounds. That is not a misprint. The car that ran the quarter mile in 11.2 seconds weighed as much as some full-size pickup trucks. Dodge did not make the car lighter to achieve that number. They simply produced enough power to move the mass. There was a second key. Dodge provided 2 key fobs with every Hellcat. The black key limited output to 500 horsepower. The red key unlocked the full 707. The red key was color-coded for a reason. The Hellcat was also the most produced high-horsepower American muscle car in history to that point. Approximately 7,000 units per year were delivered across the model run, a volume that made the car accessible to a wide range of buyers who had previously had no path to this level of factory power. Current collector value, $35,000 to $55,000 for low-mileage documented examples, 707 horsepower. Number 6, 2021 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. In 2021, Dodge installed 710 horsepower into a 3-row family SUV. That sentence is not an exaggeration. It is the factory specification. The Durango SRT Hellcat used a variant of the 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi, producing 710 horsepower and 645 pound-feet of torque, 3 horsepower more than the Challenger Hellcat, it shared its engine architecture with, due to a revised air intake path calibrated for the SUV's engine bay dimensions, 0 to 60, 3.5 seconds. Quarter mile, 11.5 seconds at 121 miles per hour. For context, this was a vehicle that could seat 7 passengers, carry full cargo, and tow up to 8,700 pounds, and could outrun the majority of 2-seat sports cars sold in the same year on a drag strip. What made the Durango Hellcat genuinely significant on this list was not just the horsepower number, it was the production number. Dodge built the Durango SRT Hellcat for one model year only, 2021. Approximately 2,000 total units reached customers in the United States. The decision to discontinue the model was tied to regulatory changes affecting large displacement engines in truck class vehicles scheduled for subsequent model years. 2,000 units, 1 year, 710 horsepower, 3 rows of seats, and a factory tow rating. That combination has never been repeated by any American manufacturer. Current collector value, $65,000 to $90,000, and rising. Clean, low-mileage Durango Hellcats are now actively sought as collectibles because the production window closed permanently. 710 horsepower, 2,000 units, never coming back. Number 5, 2020 through 2022, Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. Ford did not enter this competition quietly. The 2020 Shelby GT500 produced 760 horsepower from a 5.2-liter supercharged V8, a cross-plane variant of the flat-plane Voodoo engine that had powered the GT350. Fitted with a Roots-type Eaton supercharger producing 12 pounds of boost and redesigned to deliver maximum torque across the full rev range, rather than only at high revolutions. The result was an engine Ford called the Predator. 0 to 60, 3.3 seconds. Quarter mile, 10.1 seconds at 136 miles per hour. That quarter mile time placed the GT500 in the 10-second bracket, matching the C8 Z6's naturally aspirated achievement, but arriving there with a different formula. More displacement, more boost, and a traditional cross-plane crankshaft tuned for usable power across the entire RPM range rather than peak output at redline. Ford paired the engine with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, the only gearbox available in the GT500. There was no manual option. Ford made that decision deliberately. The DCT could execute gear changes faster than any human driver, and Ford's internal testing showed it produced more consistent elapsed times than a traditional manual would have in the hands of most buyers. The car was also equipped with MagneRide active damping, Brembo carbon ceramic brakes as a standard fitment on the GT500 carbon fiber package, and Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires 300 5-wide at the rear. The GT500 also carried a formal aerodynamic package. The front splitter, rear spoiler, and underbody panel configuration produced meaningful downforce at high speed. When equipped with a carbon fiber track package, the car was validated at speeds above 180 miles per hour without aerodynamic instability. Ford produced the GT500 across the 2020 through 2022 model years. Approximately 6,000 total units were delivered before the model was retired. Current collector value, $80,000 to $130,000. 760 horsepower, 10.1 in the quarter mile. Ford brought the Shelby name back to this list for the first time since 1967. Number 4, 2019 through 2023, Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Redeye. In 2019, Dodge looked at the 707 horsepower Hellcat they had already put into production and decided it was not enough. The Hellcat Redeye used the same 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi architecture as the standard Hellcat, but Dodge upgraded the supercharger to a 2.7-liter unit and reworked the internals to sustain higher cylinder pressure. The result was 797 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque on standard 91-octane pump gasoline. The Redeye also retained the dual key system from the standard Hellcat. Black key limiting power to 500 horsepower, red key unlocking the full 797. A third mode allowed drivers to configure launch RPM, electronic stability interventions, and transmission shift timing from the factory touchscreen. 0 to 60, 3.4 seconds. Quarter mile, 10.8 seconds at 131 miles per hour. The quarter mile number placed the Redeye in the 10-second bracket without drag-specific preparation. On standard all-season tires, which some owners used, the time extended slightly due to reduced traction. On the Nitto NT05R drag radial tires that Dodge recommended for maximum performance, the car ran consistently in the 10.6 to 10.8 range. The Redeye was also offered in a wide body configuration, adding 3.5 inches of additional width across the fenders to accommodate 305 rear tires, producing a stance that made the standard Hellcat look narrow by comparison. Dodge also made the Redeye available as a jailbreak edition in 2022, which removed certain build restrictions and allowed buyers to combine options that were previously mutually exclusive. The Redeye ran from 2019 through 2023, representing the final full production years of the third generation Challenger. Current collector value, $55,000 to $80,000. 797 horsepower, 10.8 seconds. Number 3, 2018, Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. Every car on this list was built to go fast. The 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon was built to do one specific thing: run the quarter mile faster than any factory American street car had ever run it legally, on pump gasoline with a factory warranty attached. The Demon's supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 produced 808 horsepower on 91 octane pump gasoline. The factory also noted that the engine was capable of producing 840 horsepower on 100 octane race fuel, but the street-rated, warranty-covered, street legal number was 808. That is the number this list uses. 717 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60, 2.3 seconds. Quarter mile, 9.65 seconds at 140 miles per hour. The 9.65 elapsed time made the Demon the first factory-produced American street car to run the quarter mile in the 9-second bracket. No other American production car at any price had done it before. The Demon did it on pump gas. Dodge achieved those numbers through several engineering decisions that had never been combined in a factory American car before. First, trans-brake launch control, a system that used the torque converter to build engine RPM against a locked drivetrain, then released it in a single burst. This replaced human reaction time with a mechanical trigger. Second, air chiller. The Demon's intake air conditioning system, borrowed from racing applications, lowered the temperature of the air entering the supercharger by directing cold air from the air conditioning system through the intake. Path. Third, front wheel removal. Dodge included a single front passenger side seat, removed the front passenger airbag, and offered a crate-shipped set of narrow front drag wheels as a factory option. The National Hot Rod Association responded to the Demon's 9.65 certification by requiring a roll cage for any vehicle running below 9.99 seconds. The Demon without modification was fast enough to require a safety cage on sanctioned tracks. 3,300 total units were produced for the United States market. Each car was sold with a certificate of authenticity, a numbered window sticker, and a crate of removed parts delivered separately. Current collector value, $80,000 to $150,000. 808 horsepower, 9.65 seconds. The first American factory car in the 9s. Number 2, 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. 5 years after the original Demon set the record for the fastest factory American street car in the quarter mile, Dodge decided to replace it with another Dodge. The 2023 Challenger SRT Demon 170 used a revised version of the same 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi architecture as the original Demon, but Dodge increased boost, upgraded the fuel system to support 85 ethanol blending, and recalibrated the engine management across 2 operating modes. On 91 octane pump gasoline, 900 horsepower, and 860 pound-feet of torque. On 85 ethanol, 1,025 horsepower and 945 pound-feet of torque. Both fuel modes were factory certified. Both carried the standard factory warranty, 85 ethanol is commercially available at fuel stations across the United States, which made 1,025 horsepower a street-legal, pump fuel accessible figure for the 3,300 buyers who purchased this car. The Demon 170 designation referred to the 170 proof rating of 85 ethanol, 0 to 60 on 85, 1.66 seconds. That 0 to 60 time represented the fastest factory-produced street car 0 to 60 time ever recorded by an American manufacturer. Faster than every documented production street car from any country that had used a conventional internal combustion engine and a traditional drivetrain. The 1.66 second figure accounted for tire compression and wheel lift, meaning the front wheels left the ground before the car reached 60 miles per hour, quarter mile on 85, 8.91 seconds at 151 miles per hour. The 8.91 elapsed time placed the Demon 1/73 of a second faster in the quarter mile than the original Demon, despite using the same basic engine architecture. The gap was produced by the fuel, the boost increase, and a revised trans brake system calibrated with updated launch RPM targets. The NHRA classification for the Demon 170 in stock form required a parachute on certified facilities, a safety standard previously associated only with dedicated race vehicles. Dodge produced 3,300 units total for the United States market across the 2023 model year. The Demon 170 was the final production variant of the third generation Challenger. The platform was retired after this run. Current collector value, $100,000 to $200,000, 1,025 horsepower, 8.91 seconds. The most powerful street-legal American V8 ever mass-produced before the #1 entry on this list arrived. #1, 2025 through 2026 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, 1,064 horsepower, from a factory American street car, full emissions compliance, full factory warranty, standard pump gasoline. The 2025 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 is the most powerful, naturally aspirated, and force-inducted American V8 street car ever produced, with full federal street certification, and it achieved that position using an engine that General Motors had never built before. The LT7. The LT7 is a 5.5-liter flat-plane crankshaft V8, the same basic architecture as the C8 Z6's naturally aspirated LT6, with twin turbochargers added to the system. Each turbocharger was positioned beside the engine rather than above it, feeding compressed air directly into the intake with a minimal lag profile. This combination produced 1,064 horsepower and 828 pound-feet of torque on standard 93-octane pump gasoline, available at service stations across the United Pump States, 0 to 60. 2.4 seconds, slightly slower than the Demon 170's 1.66, because the ZR1's rear-wheel drive layout and road tires were calibrated for a different type of speed. Not a drag strip, a road course. The ZR1 in the carbon fiber aero package generated over 1,000 pounds of downforce at 190 miles per hour. General Motors validated the ZR1 at a top speed exceeding 212 miles per hour in testing, making it the fastest Corvette ever produced and the fastest American factory street car ever documented on a closed course. Independent testing by automotive publications produced consistent quarter-mile times in the 9.4 to 9.6 second range at trap speeds above 150 miles per hour. The ZR1's engineering represented the convergence of 2 decades of development decisions General Motors had made across the Corvette platform. The mid-engine layout, the flat-plane crankshaft architecture, the forced induction expertise developed across multiple generations of supercharged engines, and the aerodynamic knowledge accumulated through the Corvette racing program. Every engineering decision General Motors made in the Corvette line from 2013 onward pointed toward this car. The ZR1 was priced at $165,000 base, placing it at the top of the Corvette range and directly competing with European manufacturers who had previously held the performance ceiling at this price. Point without challenge from Detroit. At 1,064 horsepower, the ZR1 did not just lead this list. It reset the expectation of what an American V8 is capable of producing on a public road with a factory warranty, on fuel available at any highway exit in the country. Final chapter, the one that didn't make the list. 1969, Chevrolet produced 216 Corvettes with the L88 option package. The factory horsepower rating on the window sticker, 430. That number was incorrect. Chevrolet knew it was incorrect when they printed it. The L88's 7-liter V8 produced an independently documented 450 to 560 horsepower depending on configuration, a figure significantly above the sticker. Chevrolet rated it at 430 to discourage buyers who weren't prepared for what the engine actually was, and to avoid triggering insurance surcharges. The L88 also required 103 octane aviation fuel to operate correctly. Standard pump gasoline of the era caused detonation. The owner's manual stated explicitly, not for street use. 216 were built. Most went racing immediately. The ones that survived are now among the most valuable American production cars ever documented at public auction. In 2023, a matching numbers 1969 L88 Corvette sold for $650,000. The L88 could not qualify for this list. The fuel requirement eliminated it. The owner's manual eliminated it. The deliberately incorrect factory horsepower rating eliminated it. But no list about the most powerful American V8s ever produced is complete without acknowledging what Chevrolet built in 216 cars and then quietly told buyers not to drive on the street. The data on the L88 is real. The cars are real. The auction results are real. Detroit built it, then told you it wasn't for you. That is the list. 10 street-legal American V8s. Factory ratings, real numbers. And one engine that never qualified and is worth more today than any car that did.